Got Great Britain. Won the first race of the World Cup Series, wearing the yellow bibs. We've got the Czech Republic here in lane 1. The under-23 silver medalist from 2011 largely, but joined by Cox. He's 55 years old, Martin.
He doesn't look as good as me, though, Greg. Even though I am the same age as him. Good luck to the Czech Cox, Oldřich Hejčíček.
Now we've got in lane 2 the Great Britain second boat. I guess you'd call this largely a development 8, but they got very close to the Great Britain 1-8 in the heat. Certainly put some pressure on them. That's the crew we see here. Olympic champions in the stern from the Coxless 4, Hodge and Reed. It's a very strong Great Britain boat. Jürgen Grobler's put a lot of backing into this. Got all the eggs in this basket, and he wants to see this crew out there and winning and retaining those yellow jerseys. Polish here in lane 4. And I've raced them for the last 3 years. Always very consistent performance.
Czech Republic.
Always very hard to get past.
Great Britain 2.
We had to be on our best if we were going to beat them.
Great Britain 1.
Then we have the French, who won the race for lanes.
France.
They've been going for it in the 8.
Attention.
Looks like a new project. It's going well.
And I'm just fascinated to be sitting alongside Greg Searle, who just 10 months ago was coming down the track with some of these men in the final of the Olympic 8s. New project for Great Britain. Put all the top guys in the 8. They got done in the heat in the race for lanes. Dumped off the start. Will they be in contact? The French have gone out quick again, Greg.
Yeah, the French have gone out way well. In the men's 8, it's so important to get a big start. So important to get away. The statistics say if you're winning at 500, you win at the end. It's not quite as easy as that.
And more important in these conditions, isn't it? These quick conditions where it does get rough. You know, anyone will know that they want to get to 500 metres. And the French are taking that just by inches.
Only by inches, actually. Now they've settled into the pace. We look at the Great Britain 8 there. Getting well connected, getting the boat moving. They don't row the biggest finish in the world, but that might not harm them too much in this tailwind.
No, the Poles are taking it on now. I think if Britain are going to win this race, they will have to do their special middle 1,000 metres. But at the moment, it's the Polish 8, coached by Wojciech Jankowski. The experienced guy really coming up to the 500 metres. They're going to be going through in the lead.
Well, they've been around for so many years, this Poles. They really know how to race an 8. They really know how to take it by the scruff of the neck, and they've done that. They're in first place in a 1:19.59, but the British are right with them, as are the French. The Czechs went out early in the first 100 metres, but now they're going to have to handle those conditions. Now they're going to have to row well to keep up with the pace which is being set by the Polish, who I think have just started to move out on the British.
Listen, Greg, I wonder if you have memories of that Munich World Cup last year where the Poles did go out, you were racing them, but the Poles went out, and they're going out again now in those sort of conditions.
Well, the Poles have got so much experience in this event. They know how to do it. They know how to take it on. No one's looking out of the boat. No one's going to cause any disturbance to the rest of the crew. They're moving it as well as they can. We see the British. Are they going to be able to move on? Are they going to be able to keep with the pace in this second 500? They're tracking the Polish. The Polish certainly haven't got away. The French aren't showing as strongly as they were in the race for lanes.
They're not, and their coach Daniel Fauché won't be so pleased. Jürgen Grobler for the British will be much more pleased. That's the stroke of the British second 8 as we look at Lance Treadle. Close up to the British in the heat, but the race is going on up front between Great Britain and Poland up to the 1,000, and they've got to do damage in this third 500 if they're going to win this race from Poland. I think it's Poland's to lose at the moment, Greg.
I think it's still very close. As you say, it's Poland's to win, to lose. Once you get in front in an 8th race, you should stay in front. But the British, I think, have come back in that second 500 and they've moved. It's a very different performance to what we saw in the race for lanes a few days ago.
On the splits, they're telling us that Britain was slightly closer at 500. Poland have edged out a little bit, I think, in that second quarter. This is where the Britain are going to move. This is where
it
you
now.
made your move in the Olympics, Greg. Talk us through it.
Well, this was exactly what happened with us. The Germans were leading us, and it was this third 500 where we dug deepest, where we thought about why we were really here, and we went to make that move, and that's what Phelan Hill will be asking his crew to do now. And now they're digging deeper. Now they're trying to move together. Still no one's looking out of the boat.
Deja vu for Phelan Hill. 3 of Britain, 4 of Poland. The Brits still haven't got through, but at the moment they're having a much better row. But hats off to the Poles. They are cool. They have that 1 foot lead, and the British have still got to produce something. It's not enough to leave it to the final sprint. For my money, they've got to be in front with 500 to go.
Well, it's a drag race, isn't it? Both crews have got their foot to the floor. The British, you could see the gritting of the teeth. Everyone was doing everything they could, but the Poles are still hanging on to this narrow lead. In these conditions, I think anything could happen. You wouldn't call that efficient. If you looked in there, look at the 4-man, but that's what eights racing looks like. You have to be giving it everything you've got. I think the British have moved in this third 500. I think they've been the fastest boat in this third 500. But the Poles have still got the slightest of leads, and they're well ahead of the French and the British second boat.
Are having such a race with the French, and that's magic for the boys in development, particularly from Multi Boat Club, Colin Williamson and Phil Condon.
Yeah, it's a great race for third place, but Phelan Hill just took a look across there to his right. He calls his men on. He asks Andy Hodge to lift the rate. He asked the rest of the crew to stay clean. But the Poles have responded since the 500.
I'm going to back the Poles, Greg. I'm going to back the Poles because they're more experienced in the 8, and I think they want it more.
But I think the British have just gone up again. They've just tried to raise the stroke rate again. Can they handle these conditions? The boat looks very smooth to me there, the way the boat's moving along.
I think the stroke man from the Polish 8, Rafał Hedgeman, is really experienced. He knows what it's like at the high rates.
And these guys, although they're going to be hurting so much, their legs are going to be burning, but the British crowd are going mad. The British are responding. The British are coming back. I'd say this is virtually level. We're into the red boys.
The Poles have gone up. The Poles have sprinted. They've gone again, but Britain have got that length you spoke of.
The British are giving it everything they can. They're smooth. I think Andy Hodge has raised it. I think the crew have raised it. They're doing it for the home crowd. This is London. This is where the British are going to win, and British are going to deliver it. It's a gold medal for Jürgen Grobler for Great Britain. The Poles get the second. Oh, and that third place, well, it's too tight to call. The French have been given it ahead of the development A's from Great Britain.
Look at that. Phelan Hill to Hodgie, absolutely delighted. The misery of coming in third place in that race for lanes.
They've taken it right to the limit there, haven't they?
Dan Ritchie giving it some up there in the 2 seat.
Well, I think all of them will be delighted. They don't like to not win. They don't like it, and they got taken to the cleaners on Friday in the race for lanes, but they responded in the best possible way there.
I did fancy the Poles to win that game in the last 500. I thought Britain had to be ahead because I just didn't think they would have that sprint, but it was magic. The French are going to be disappointed.
The French will be disappointed. Daniel Forget, as you say, coach of this 8, he's put together a great crew there, and they won that race for lanes, but it didn't come off for them today. It was these men from Great Britain who I think just had that little bit more length in the third 500. The Polish were absolutely flat out, and the British just had somewhere to go in the last 500.
And there are really 7,000 excited people for that race, but a lot of the British are going to think, what a sign-off to the Dorney World Cup, to the Samsung Rowing World Cup.
Well, how exciting do you want racing to be?
Oh.
And if you're a home crowd supporter and you have come here to watch Great Britain, as the vast majority of the 7,000 here today will have been, that's exactly what they wanted to go home with.
And I think for the Brits in that 8, you know, for Phelan Hill, for James Foe, Mo Sabihi and Tom Ransley, you know, such sweet feelings coming through to win the sprint.
Well, as you say, I was in the boat with those guys, sitting in their seat in front of Mohamed Sabihi there, and we didn't manage to cross the line in front. We didn't manage to punch our arms in the air like that, and they're getting to feel it now. And that'll be a memory that they will keep forever.
So if you don't count the race for lanes, the British are still unbeaten this season in World Cup rowing.
And I think they can still strengthen that 8. So we've got confirmation there of just the distance that it was, that Great Britain won it in 5:25.93.